Everybody, it's Dr. Patmos, and it is April 24th, and I almost hate to do this video because I hate to be right about this one, but I told you so not that long ago that canine rabies is going to come back. And I attached an article and a link and some of my prior posts about this. Let me just tee this one up for you. For those of you who don't know what rabies is, let me give you a quick little 2-minute drill on rabies. Rabies is one of the worst diseases in the history of mankind, in the history of diseases. It's a neurotropic virus. Once you begin manifesting the symptoms of rabies, it is incurable. It's 100% fatal, or 99.99999% fatal. I think there was one reported case of someone who survived. It is, for all practical purposes, a fatal diagnosis. It is a horrible, awful way to die, and there's no treatment. So once you get it, you're just cooked. All doctors can do is basically just watch you die. Rabies used to be a big problem in the United States. It's still a big problem around the world. Tens of thousands of people die of rabies every year in other countries. And we used to have thousands of people dying of rabies in the United States 100 years ago and more. And the reason why was how they caught it was they got it from dogs. Rabies was endemic in stray dogs, and people would get bitten, get rabies, and die. And that all changed when the rabies vaccine came out because it was mandatory for dogs to get vaccinated in the United States, dogs and cats. And it was so effective that basically what it did was it eliminated rabies from the domestic canine and feline population, and the number of human cases of rabies declined to almost nothing. We now have about 1 to 3 cases per year in the United States of rabies in humans. And so the disease has become one that most people don't know about, most doctors have never seen. And people like Robert Kennedy make this stupid statement that, well, why do we have to worry about there's only 1 or 2 or 3 cases a year? Here's why. Rabies is not gone. It's just not endemic in the canine population anymore. It's out in the wild animal population where it is really common, bats, raccoons, wolves, and skunks. So rabies is out there in the wild animal population, and it will leap back in to the canine population and then expose humans as soon as we let down our guard with vaccination for rabies. Well, guess what's happening? The anti-vax movement has been active in questioning the need for rabies vaccination. A very well-known anti-vaxxer, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, has posted that there's no vaccine that's more fear-based than rabies, and questioned its utility given how rare the disease is. 16 of 18 states now apparently have laws on the books that say that you can get a medical exemption for your pet to excuse them from rabies vaccinations. Like they used to have medical exemptions for childhood immunizations. Well, now they have medical exemptions for rabies immunizations. But there's another way around that. If you can't get your veterinarian to do it, just don't take your pet to the vet at all. You get a puppy or a kitten and you don't take it to a vet, and they never get vaccinated. So the canine and feline population that is at risk for being infected with rabies has increased because of the anti-vax movement, and they're constantly undermining the importance of vaccination in the minds of the public. Well, um, you know, Robert Kennedy just last week so gutted the CDC financially that the office that handles rabies testing, the only place in the country that does do rabies testing, has now suspended rabies testing because they don't have the staff. And Kennedy said, well, there's only 1 or 2 or 3 cases. Why one person in that office should be able to handle it? No, there's 90,000 tests that are run a year for rabies in the United States. That's now been suspended. There's now no testing going forward. Well, guess what happened in New Mexico just the other day? A second dog was just put down last week for having rabies. And 5 people that this dog bit had to be treated with post-exposure prophylactic vaccination against rabies, or they would die. So here we now have the evidence of rabies returning to the domestic canine population in the United States. If it's in New Mexico, I guarantee you it's somewhere else as well. We just haven't heard about it yet, but we probably will. Now, here's where it really gets interesting is there's this other concept called transplant rabies. Think about this. You have a patient, you're an organ donor, they get encephalitis of some type, nobody knows what it is, they die. They're an organ donor. There's no testing now for rabies. Maybe that encephalitis was actually rabies. In fact, that's exactly what happened in Idaho not too long ago, where a patient who died of encephalitis from a unreported exposure or bite from a raccoon months earlier turned out to have rabies, which was discovered after he died. But it was too late because his organs went into recipients, some of whom died of rabies. Others had to have their corneas removed, a transplant cornea removed, rendering them completely, immediately blinded, uh, rather than retain the transplanted tissue that likely had rabies in it. So, rabies is not a disease of antiquity. It is out there. You don't have to go far to find rabies. It's right in the wild animal population. Bats are the most likely, and that's the reason why about 90,000 people are exposed per year in the United States and have to be tested. About 50,000 actually end up being treated for rabies post-exposure prophylaxis. Even with post-exposure prophylaxis, even still, we have 1, 2, 3 cases of rabies deaths in humans in the United States every year, which will likely increase because we have people in charge who don't have a fundamental background in biology, infectious diseases, in medicine, epidemiology. They don't understand the biology of this. This is why you cannot put people in positions of power who don't have the training. David Kennedy and the others that have been appointed to important roles in the federal government are not qualified for these jobs. They don't have the biology background. If you don't know rabies, you don't understand the disease, you don't understand the epidemiology, you don't understand the infectious disease aspects of this disease, you do not belong in a position of power making decisions that affect people's lives. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny and other anti-vaxxers who are fomenting distrust of rabies vaccination are doing a tremendous public disservice. I am very concerned that we are going to start seeing more rabies cases in the United States because of this absolutely ridiculous path that we're on toward anti-vaxxers. I think this is a real nightmare. You know, measles is a nightmare. Polio recurrent measles recurrence, polio is a nightmare. All these things are nightmares. But I really, of all of them, I really am terrified of measles because I mean, rabies, because rabies is 100% fatal. If you have the stomach for it, in the second article attached, attached below my article, my video, I think I have a link to a video that shows what it's like to die of rabies. If you think you can tolerate watching it, go ahead and do so. But fair warning, it is very graphic, very hard to watch. This is a really bad disease. There's no place for child's play. There's no place for fakers and posers who think they want to play, want to be doctors. Stay out of this because this is really bad. We need to make sure that every dog and every cat in this country is vaccinated against rabies, no questions asked. And um, we should also be vaccinating people for other things as well. Good luck, and hopefully I'll be wrong on this, but I just talked about this last week, and bingo, here it is. I'm afraid that we're going to see more babies. What a catastrophe that is. The return of canine. Why don't we just go back in the time machine? Let's go back in the time machine off the hours. We'll all go back to the 1800s because that's where we're going.